Gauloise Bruin.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I've got one here from Belgium, and it is the Gauloise Bruin from the Brasserie de Bocq, which is based in South Belgium in the Walloon area in a place called Bruin. And they're quite an interesting brewery. They've been going since 1858, and they were very small scale. They were the epitome of a small farm type brewery, and so much so that the workers there only brewed beer in the winter when there was less work to do on the farm. In the summer they was all busy harvesting and doing whatever, but they only really brewed beer in the winter. Now they've since come on from that, and after World War One they really sort of started brewing beer seriously. And I tried one of the beers last night, and it was the Blanche de Namur, which was a Vit beer, and I really liked it. I thought it was an excellent beer. And I've also, I don't know how true this is, this could be absolute bollocks, but they do mention it on their website that they used to brew Korsendonk, which is a dark Belgian beer. I'm not sure if it's a Bruin, I think it might be a double, but it's one of the most spiciest beers that I have ever tasted. It was just a full-on spice fest. Really heavy, yeasty esters of spice coming off that, which is something I won't forget in a hurry. And this one is their Bruin. Now, I tried a Bruin the other night, and for the life of me, I cannot remember what it was. But it wasn't bad. Oh, what was it? No, it's gone. You'll see it on the reviews anyway. But it wasn't bad. The best Bruin I have tasted so far, I think, is the Castile stuff from the Van Honsenbroek Brewery. So I'm still looking for that elusive, amazing Bruin ale. Now this is a strong one. This is 8.1%, and it looks quite interesting. There's nothing really that I can read on there. A lot of it's in French. Of course, they're from the Walloon part of. Was it Walloon? I suppose it's Walloon. The Flemish probably call it Walloons or something like that, but it's basically the French-speaking part of Belgium, down there in the south, not too far from the French border. And they, as I say, they brew quite a few beers. If you look on their website, I'm not going to list them all. There's a long list. They brew almost every style of Belgian beer. So let's stop treading water and talking bollocks, and let's start investigating this beer. Right, this is a 330ml dumpy, and it's 8.1%. Fuck me, what am I doing? There is the label, looks quite interesting. Here's all the spiel on the back. I cannot fucking read that. Number one, I can't understand French, and number two, I can hardly fucking see it. So there it is, just read that at your leisure. There is the label, Brasserie de Bocq. Brasserie, of course, in French means brewery, not a brothel, as some people would think. Anyway, let's reverse out of that cul-de-sac. Let's get this beer open. Right, now I've seen pictures of this stuff, and it's drunk out of a cross between a chalice and a tulip glass. It looked more like a tulip glass. It's got more in common with the tulip glass, so that's what I'm going to drink out of, and that's what I drank the Bruin out of the other night. But you know, if you want to drink it out of a chalice, then you know, it will be perfectly fine. To be honest, I know there is something to drinking beer out of the proper glassware, but at the end of the day, I really don't think you're going to get much of a difference in the flavour of a Belgian beer if you don't drink it out of the designated glass that the brewery says. As long as you're remotely close, you're going to get everything that matters. That's just my opinion. You know, there's probably scientists out there who could disprove that. Please do. I'd be intrigued to know. Anyway, let's get this into the glass. Now, of course, Bruins are renowned for their sweetness, the caramel malt, and the dark fruit. And you know what? Let me turn my phone off because I'm getting messages left, right, and centre from disgruntled women who said I promised to marry him. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. I might have to that out of the video. If the missus ever sees it, she will chop my knackers off. Right, what are we getting on the nose? Wow. Fruit is the first thing that hits me. A nice fruit as well. That is a mixture of dark fruit and green summer fruit like apple and pear. And there's a banana to that as well. Quite strong actually. That's really coming through now. And I'm getting that caramel, sweet caramel and toffee. It smells quite pleasant. I'm just wondering whether this is going to be too sweet. I tried one the other day and it was really sweet, but that is a characteristic of doubles and Belgian Bruins. They do add their sweetness to it. There it is in the glass. Looks quite nice. Dark brown colour. You may see that as black on the camera, but that is dark brown. Beige head. Yeah, it smells lovely. It's very sweet. Almost, I think that sweetness is giving it a bit of an artificial type aroma to it. But it smells interesting. Let's get it down the hatch. Santé. Immediately, spirit alcohol, then fruit, banana. There's a touch of vanilla on that. Oh, and licorice. I'm getting licorice on there now as well, which is unusual. I think this must be a first where in a Bruin the licorice is so pronounced. That's giving it a nice, interesting twist. Wow. The carbonation is quite coarse, but the licorice is really strong on this. Now, some people won't like licorice. It's one of them Marmite flavours, I like to call it. You either like it or you don't. There's no in between. I happen to like it. There is a beer out called, where's it from? The Badger Brewery. What's it called? Cranbourne Poacher. Now that's flavoured with damson. But I got a hell of a lot of licorice from that. And I really liked it. In fact, I liked it so much so, I bought quite a few bottles of that, and it's 6.8%. It was quite strong. And I polished them off, and I quite liked it. I don't think I've had the licorice so pronounced in a beer since then, until this. Now, I'm not sure whether that's a mixture of the sweetness of the toffee malt and the caramel malt that's in here and the sugar, but I don't think it is. That is distinctly licorice, and it's the dominant flavour in this. And my advice to you would be, if you're not a fan of licorice, you're not going to like this. However, I am, and I'm quite liking it. The carbonation is obtrusive, I will say that. It's not abrasive, but it's there, and it's bordering on abrasive. Now, some people like that, as I said in a couple of videos, some people like that aggressive carbonation in the mouth. I think it puts me off the flavour somewhat. I'd rather have lots of carbonation in the glass and a smooth mouthfeel. I think, personally, it's just a personal thing, I think I get more of a flavour when the mouthfeel is smooth. When it's carbonation, I'm just fighting against it, I think. But some people like it, and some people thinks it pushes the flavour around. Personally, I think it's the other way around. I think the carbonation in the glass promotes the aroma. I don't think it promotes flavour in the mouth. Now, people can disagree with that, and there's probably science to disprove that. This is just a personal thing. I find the smoother mouthfeel, I get more of the flavours. But that's just me. I'm not saying it's the same for everyone. It could be different. On this, I'm still getting all the flavours, but it's putting me off slightly. And it's still there. I thought it would have calmed down after a while. But having said that, I'm still getting them all. But the licorice is the dominant thing in this. And I love licorice. I think it's great. You can't eat too much licorice. It will go through you like a fucking dose of the salts, and you will be shitting through the eye of a needle. Trust me, I've been there, I've done that. And it ain't pretty. Not for me, and not for anyone around me. I'll just get that out of the way. But I have to say, this isn't bad. Of course, Gauloise, I'm sure you've seen that name before. That is a French word for Gallic people, or remember the old Gauls that came from France, fought the Romans. That's the name for them. And there was a cigarette brand called Gauloise. I don't know whether you remember them. There was two cigarette brands in the 80s and the 70s that were quite popular over here. There was Gitans, which were untipped French cigarettes, and there was Gauloise. Now the Gitans, I actually had a bass guitar, a custom made jazz bass, painted in the colour of Gitans. You know, it had the Gitan in French means gypsy, and it had the picture of the woman gypsy with the fan. She was dancing, and it had all the blue smoke and all that. And I had a guitar. I liked the design so much. I had a bass guitar, custom sprayed and everything. Very nice, fretless bass, believe it or not. And I don't know why I got a fretless bass. Fucking big mistake that was. But the other brand, the other big cigarette brand at the time was Gauloise. The pair of them would strip the fucking skin off your lungs. They were so strong. I remember, and I used to smoke back then. I don't smoke at all now, but I used to smoke like a fucking trooper back then. And I think I must have smoked about 3 or 4 of them. And I remember them sitting in my house for years because I couldn't smoke them. And when I was desperate for a cigarette, absolutely desperate, I'd light one up, have about 3 or 4 tugs out of it, and I'd be coughing my lungs up. Fuck knows how them frogs smoked them. And Gauloise was the same as well. They'd done a Gauloise tipped as well. That was quite strong too, but the untipped ones, fucking hell, they were strong. I thought players' weights were bad. Jesus, man. I wonder all them froggies are dying early. Anyway, let's get back to the beer. Carbonation's still there. Licorice is still big. Bit of caramel malt. Getting that sweet, sticky sugar type aftertaste on it, and a bitter after finish as well. I don't know whether that's coming from the hops or some of the spice that's in there. All in all though, not bad at all. So what's the verdict on Gauloise Bruin? Yeah, very different. I've not had a Bruin that's tasted of licorice or had licorice flavour in it at all. That is a first for me. And as I said, I don't mind licorice. Some people don't like it though. It's just a bit too overpowering and it can become very sweet for them. I can get that with this, because if I drank more than 2 or 3 of these, I'd be thinking, I really don't like this and I'm not enjoying it. But the one that I'm drinking now is quite nice. And these beers are good. I mean, this is 8.1%. You know, if you're trying to curb your alcohol intake, you know, and you're caning your fucking beers, and you're sensible, this would probably do you. You know, I have one of these after your dinner or with your dinner or something. You know, that would go with like rich food, like a steak, an ale pie or something. But it's quite nice, but it has got that licorice flavour, so be warned, if you don't like licorice, then don't get this. But I like it, and it's not bad. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I'm going to knock marks off for the carbonation. That's starting to fucking grate on me a little bit now, because I thought it would have calmed down as I let it settle, but it's still there. And yeah, it's just a little bit too abrasive for me. But aside from that, it's not bad at all. There's some spirit alcohol there, so again, that may not be to everybody's taste, but if you like your strong Belgian doubles, I think you're going to like this. This is a double with a twist. Even though it's a Bruin, it tastes more like a double to me. So yeah, I'm going to give that 7.5 out of 10. Bordering on an 8, but 7.5 I think is a fair mark. And remember, beer is working class champagne.